Yeah.
But you gotta have a reason. You gotta have a strong enough why to do anything. That's what all the David Goggins, all the people they say something. Why? What's the reason why? I'm like, I have two daughters, and after all, I have two daughters. All the pain that I've gone through has to mean something. I'm like, it's like I look at all the reasons why I do it. It's like because I'm worth it.
Welcome back, tribe. Today I have a very special episode to share, one of many coming into the future, giving a voice to men all around the world. I just want to thank our guests now and in the future for putting their hardships out there, showing men around the world a way forward, what men deal with on a day-to-day basis, and how to ascend into something greater than yourself. The conversations you're about to hear are candid, represent a man's experience in life, and at times will be too much for the censorship of big tech. For that reason, in order for us to have candid, real, and truthful conversation, the full breadth of this interview will be available on Locals to supporters, which I want to take a moment to thank, as they're the reason that this is possible and gives us a light to shine on the plight of men around the world. So thank you guys once again. The links will be in the description below. Without further ado, let's begin. Right, so speaking on kids, dude, that's good that you brought that up. Take us through, for the guys that'll be listening to this. It's
Oh,
recorded, by the way, so feel free to make
yeah.
mistakes and take time thinking and be candid. This shit's not going on YouTube
Okay.
because obviously, they don't
Yeah.
want to hear the truth. Tell me, dude, how family life was. Like, how'd you grow up? Brothers, sisters, father, mother?
All right. So my mom is a pillhead. She was an opiate addict.
Mm,
My dad was an alcoholic. Yeah, I used to get I used to be like the brunt of the all the beatings on it because my dad was always wanting my older brother to get his love and attention. So I got his frustration.
gotcha.
I peed my bed until I was like 9, 10 years old. You know.
Mm. Very much like Goggins, huh? I
Yeah.
see.
Yeah. No. That's the hardest part because I remember the way they thought the best way they thought they was gonna correct it was um strip me naked and tell me strip me naked, the bed naked, and have me sleep there.
Mm,
So that shit that stayed with me for a while. Um, and then after that it was the body dysmorphia that came out of that. That shit was fun. My older brother um beat me, humiliated me, insulted me. So that was my upbringing pretty much.
right.
So and then we were church folk, whatever, and that whole you know they're doing all this stuff and then going to church and trying to pray it away, and that shit. I didn't really find God until probably this year. Really, really,
Mm,
truthfully on it. And really started letting go, and I have the best relationship with my older brother and my parents now. Because one of the things that I found out was, what's my perspective? What am I looking at? It's like, yeah, I could hate him, but, my mother she was molested when she was a child. My father
right.
didn't grow
Everybody
up with
has
a
a
dad.
history. Yeah.
Yeah, my father didn't grow up with a dad. He died when he was a little kid. My all his brothers and everything remember the dad, and the only thing he remembered was the dad that beat him. That's the last thing he remembered of his father.
Wow.
But the other ones remember this good father, but he never did. He learned how to be a man in the streets, and he never taught me how to be a man, what it is to take a beat. I had to learn that shit on the fly.
Right. Yeah.
And I, when I was in the military, and so all of that shit. There's so much baggage that I came through. I went to
So
the
hold on.
military.
So okay. So then you're growing up, and now you're in
Yeah.
like high school, whatever. You're dealing with all this trauma. Did it get easier going into high school? Is that when you started distancing from the
Oh
family
no,
and
no.
doing the military?
Oh no, no. No, high school got worse
Mm.
because we moved to the States my senior year of high school. My
Oh.
senior year in high school, I moved to the States. I went from the island of Puerto Rico talking Spanish to, everybody used to call me Mexican. And hey,
Yeah.
I was fat. I was fat, dude. I was fat, like David Goggins fat, but in high
Mm.
school. Pimples and everything on it. There was no, I didn't have self esteem by then, like none.
Mm.
I didn't have any self esteem. I couldn't talk to girls or nothing on it. But I was funny though. I could
Of
make you laugh
course.
though.
Yeah, yeah.
Hey, I could make you laugh though. I have that, but now, it's cool because I got the swag now.
Right.
I
Yeah,
use
yeah.
that shit. I'm like,
Comes in
people are like, man,
handy.
where do you get? Yeah, they're like, hey, where do you get that swag from? I'm like, man, you just have to be 300 pounds when you grow up. That's all, man. That's it.
You gotta grow thick skin.
They're like, damn, like, I don't give a shit no more. So, but yeah, that's what I was my defense mechanism. Be funny.
Hmm.
You
Right.
can't
That'll
you
so you
can't be
could
the bitter
accept.
fat dude, man. You can't be bitter and fat. Nah, man. Gotta have swag or be funny when you're fat.
Oh, hold
Um,
on. One sec, one sec. My PRK is
gotta
fucking
get
up
the
my
glasses,
eyes. Yeah, dude, my eyes are watering. The lights here are intense.
but they look
That's why I
good
wear
though.
these. Yeah, thank you.
They look
I
good
hate
though. Now you
wearing
got an
them
excuse. Yeah, you got an excuse to wear them though. No, you can
because
tell them
I'm
like,
like,
I
dude, people keep saying, see his eyes, see his eyes. I'm like, bro, my eyes will water like 10 minutes in. They already started to water 10
man,
minutes in.
man, man, do you like fuck
Yeah.
all these people, man? Do you? You
Okay,
know,
okay. Fuck. So
and then
we were saying about yes, using your fatness essentially
defense.
can't be the bitter dude.
Hell
Yeah.
yeah. So
Okay, so then yeah, high school. Keep on continuing. Sorry.
yeah, I was just like, going from Puerto Rico to the States, that's a whole different world. I
Hmm.
know you said you're from Romania, so I don't know if you had
Yeah, I
some
know.
similar experience, but it's a cultural change. It's like,
You don't get accepted. You're an
no,
outsider. Yeah, you're an outsider. Even amongst like your own, like Romanians that had been living here looked at me as like, oh, fresh off the boat, kind of
yep.
different. Yeah.
Well, and the thing is about being Puerto Rican is that you get to be hated by everyone. So especially Hispanics, because it's like I have social security card, I have citizenship. They hate you.
Oh
You are
yeah.
hated. Oh, you're not really
You
Latino,
didn't
you're not
earn
really
it.
Hispanic,
Hmm.
you didn't earn that shit. I'm like, the fuck, all kind. I get racially slurred on. I get the same treatment as a black man, but without any love from black people or
Right.
Hispanics or whites,
Yeah.
you know. And it was in a all white neighborhood, rich people lit that high school I went to. I had to go to a rich one because the city that I lived in didn't have a high school.
Mm.
So I was broke and were on kids that were driving Lexuses to the high school.
Yeah.
And that's a public high school. They were driving a Lexus. They were driving daddy's Mercedes and stuff. Two of my
World
buddies,
apart.
yeah, one of them was a lawyer and the other one was a doctor. That's that's my buddies. So it was such a huge gap. And it was just like, well, what am I doing here? I don't belong. And so I use gaming. I use
Mm.
gaming from early on, and food to hide bury all
All
my
the pain.
emotions on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did
So
you go to the military straight out of high school or you took like a gap?
uh, 1 year, one
One
year
year?
after. And it was because my a cousin of mine, he was a recruiter. He just happened to be he just happened to be in Naples, Florida. I was in Florida. I was in Sarasota County. It's like an hour difference on there. And he found out they were there, so he came to visit. And he talked to me and said, "Hey, he saw me. I was just not doing anything with my life. He's like, you need to be in the army."
Mm.
He's like, "That's probably." So he's like, "Okay, let's go." So he took me to the army, and yeah, so I enlisted, and that was kind of like I started to yeah, I look better. I was a little more in tune with myself, but I never deal with any of the baggage on it. It's just
Right.
compounded with going to Iraq and Afghanistan and PTSD and everything else. And I got
Hmm.
married there.
Yes, you got to tell us the story about the marriage. Yeah.
Ah, my,
The blue pill days.
all right. Jesus Christ. Can't believe that. This girl, she used to go to the church that my parents go to in Florida. And she was pretty much the first girl that talked to me. So I didn't, I'm like,
Mm.
oh shit, this girl, she got a fat ass, fat titties, she likes me. Yes, straight up, that's what it was. I was like, oh, I had the uniform. I looked, it even though people are like, you look amazing, I thought I still looked to myself fat.
Mm.
You know, I used to remember how much time I spent in the gym when I was out there. People are like, dude, and I'm looking back, I was talking to my friends, like, man, your arms were like 20 fucking inches. What the fuck are you talking about? You were fat, dude. That you were in so much fucking shape. And they're like, if you'd have stopped working out so much, maybe you'd have been better running because you were so damn tired,
Hmm.
you know? But I didn't see that. And then, so I ended up talking to her, ended up getting married with her. You see, I was 22, she was 19.
Wow.
Don't ever, guys should never do that. Like, if you're not 35, You shouldn't be thinking about no damn marriage. You should be like, you know, you should be making 120 or more a year before you think about doing none of that shit.
Right. So
Get
you
a
were
prenup.
deployed basically most of the time when you were, quote, married?
Oh, yeah. I went to Hurricane Katrina. I was deployed there.
Mm,
Um, yeah, the stank, the smell. So I got all this drama on it, and I was, I didn't know what a man was. I didn't know what a husband was
right.
because my dad was a wreck the whole time. I didn't know what it was to be a man. So she ended up like faking a rape to to cover up her infidelity and stuff
Infidelity.
on it. Oh yeah, she ended up taking all my stuff when I was in Afghanistan, so I came home to an empty house
Oof.
and bouncing, and so that was fun. I ended up getting kicked out of the military. I went to spend a year in the brig. Man, I've been through some shit.
Wow.
Been through
Did you
some
have
shit.
kids? Did you have kids with her?
No, not with her. That's
Okay.
God is a good God. I'm telling you right now on it because if I would have gotten her pregnant, she would have done. Even my ex in laws, they still talk to me. One of them, think he's dying. He's got a stage 4 cancer, but I still talk to them. They apologize for it. It's like I don't know what she should, But knowing what I know now about women nature and all, it's like
Mhm.
I wasn't a man though. You know, I kept that beta simping life on, which it's funny because you know, even on my beta days on it, compared to some of the men now, they would probably thought I was an alpha because
Mm.
this men now are just on something else. But
Super
yeah,
lost.
so
Yeah,
that
it's bad.
yeah,
Yeah.
so I ended up getting out, um, did all that, and then going back to my parents.
So
Because that
you
was
lost everything basically.
Yeah. Oh, and they lost
Wow.
everything too because that happened. That was on the Obama crash. They
Mm.
lost. My parents lost everything. The American dream got completely taken from them. All the work they did, nothing. So I ended up moving to North Carolina. I guess that's where I was stationed. Ended up staying with them, and then trying to once again rebuilding my life again. Um, and then just working, trying to get back into it. I met my wife now,
Mm.
or ex-wife. And we go to school together. We have the same friends, everything else on there, but she was a single mom.
Oh.
Um, but here's the thing, though, she didn't even know I existed. Like I was like, we talked. I was talking to her. I'm like, yeah, remember so and so? Yeah, like, I was invisible in apparently fucking high school.
Mm-hmm.
Dog. People are like, wait, do I know you? I'm like, yo, I was Jose's friend. Remember? I was like, I mean, I know him. They literally said they picture like a shadow, blurry being next to
Uh-huh.
him. I was like, yeah, that's
Wow.
fucking me. I was like, yeah, that's fucking like son of a. I'm like, holy sh! I was invisible, and I'm like, yeah. I'm like, what the hell? Nobody like unless my actual close friends. It's like I was invisible. They didn't know who I was,
Yeah. Wow.
and I'm
That's what we
like,
could say
Jesus.
when we say the invisible man, basically, right?
No, and I'm telling you for real. She's like, no, I don't think I ever had. I'm like, what are you talking about? We've talked. I'm standing right next to Jose when you come and DJ. He's yeah, it's your best friend. He's my best friend too. Like for real. Like go to his house
Wow.
all the time. Call him, ask him about I'm one of his best friends. What are you talking about? But we ended up falling in love. Guys, don't marry anybody who has a single mom. Don't do it.
Yeah, tell us the single
Don't do
mom story because there's men listening that are completely clueless in.
it. Jesus Christ. So especially okay, first of all, you are a simp and a beta if you want to be with a single mom. It's automatic. Like it is. I love my stepdaughter. I mean, get me wrong. I've been her dad for 9 years. So I will take a bullet for her. I'll give her my kidney. She's fucking mine. I claim her as mine.
Hmm.
So the disclaimer on that part. So I'm like, no, I love her. That being said, now in my current state, there is no guy. I am not interested in anybody that has kids. Like no, like why would I want to? It's like you're literally saying like, oh hey, want to buy this house? Oh by the way, you gotta pay your mortgage and also pay the person's mortgage that own the house also. That's pretty much what you're saying. It's like you're
Yeah.
paying somebody else's. deal. I was like, wait, and then that he was a deadbeat, obviously, didn't pay any
Mm.
child support or nothing on it. So I moved in, and I was the check, everything, and I mean everything revolves around
The
her
kid.
and the kid.
Mm.
When you talk, you know what? It was her, the kid, the cat, her friends, and then if there is time left over, you may get you in there. Like you're talking
Wow.
about being bottom of the bottom. That is exactly what you sign up for. You are signing up to being,
Last.
invisible.
Right.
You're signing up to becoming invisible
How
again.
much friction were you getting trying to play the father role in that relationship with her daughter?
Oh, from like second one, like try it. It's like, I remember I was like, it wasn't even discipline. I was just saying, hey, don't, So I taught her how to read, how to write. I did all her homework because her mom couldn't be bothered with that. He said, "Oh, I just don't understand that English." I'm like, "You speak English pretty well. You got a job. This is
Mm.
kindergarten. Pretty sure you can read though." But guess what? I right? I'm like, you can read though. See you read. You can write those Facebook posts in English though. So I'm pretty sure you could do a good job. But
Mm.
no. So after working 12-hour shifts, working night shifts, hey, I was the one sitting there making sure she could read, she could write, doing her homework on it. And then when she wanted to quit, she'd I'm like, no, I'd be like, yo, what are you doing? She's like, I don't what she's I'm like, I don't care if she's crying. She's gonna stand there for 6 hours until she, you
Mm.
know, recites her alphabet. And that the friction, like, no, that's just you're being mean. I'm like, I'm not being mean. The world is mean.
Mm.
The world is nasty. you know.
Yeah.
So and she needs to learn, and that was like the whole. I wasn't allowed to, even mention that she was talking to her mom. Oh, keep your voice down because I don't want my mom to hear that you might be what being a father.
Mm.
What? And it was like that was constant. And I love her mom. Mom's good, but her mom was sending her like periodically, news articles about stepfathers raping their kids, raping their stepdaughters. I'm like,
Oh
that's
man.
nice.
Way to get undermined. Holy hell.
That's nice. And then of
Yeah.
course she would let me see them. Look what my mom sent me. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, are
You're
you trying to?
telling me.
Are you insinuating something? Like, what do you?
Yeah.
And then when I started getting close to my stepdaughter, because we got close, because I mean her mom, her dad, and everything. And then she started insinuating like I was trying to do something like that. I'm like, what? So then I
Yeah.
pulled away. I'm like, fuck it. I pulled away. And then she's like, "Ah, you're being so distant." I'm like, you cannot fucking win. You cannot fucking win. You
Mm.
can't. And I was
And then
like,
continue. Sorry, continue.
no, I just you can't win. It's like you working 7 days a week, sometimes two jobs to make sure you provide, give her everything she wants because you got to put her on a pedestal because she's a brave, independent woman. She's brave and beautiful. And I'm just the shit. Just shit. I'm
Yeah.
garbage. I'm nothing. I'm never good enough.
Right. You work too much to provide for them. Now it's a problem. You're never home. Then if you're home
Exactly.
too much, you need to go out and make some money.
Exactly.
Discipline my daughter, but don't watch the way you talk to her. You're not her father. It's a yeah,
Oh
slippery
yeah.
slope.
Oh yeah. And even after 9 years, after I left. I left. That's what she said. Well, you're not her father, right? And I was like, listen. I was like, I looked at her. I'm like, there's one thing I fucking earned in here, and that's being her father, right?
Mm. And you had a kid with
Yeah.
her afterwards, right?
Yep. She's 5, and I
Okay.
get to, and nothing. No more than 90 days before after I left, there was already another man coming inside the house. Her boyfriend.
Wow.
Yeah. And of course, she gave me this big spiel about Mary. Oh, you better watch who you have your kids around. I don't want no women around. But but it's different now because she's brave and beautiful, independent, and
Hmm.
she knows how to pick. I'm like, really? Because I'm just
Yeah, you
saying
picked a
though.
bad one and ruined a good one. Well, good job.
Yeah. I'm like, all
Yeah.
right. And as far as my stepdaughter goes, I'm the bad guy. And
Wow.
I'm oh yeah, because she's got her mom in her ear. So I'm the bad guy. Oh, she's not happy with you, and I'm like. And I'm not gonna go off on a 13-year-old who has feelings. She's got shit going on her.
Hmm.
Her dad. She found out her first dad didn't want her, and then I left. So I'm just like, hey, I love you. It has nothing to do with you. I just don't want to be with your mom. But that's not
Right.
what she hears at home. She hears that I didn't want to be with them. You
Hmm.
know.
So this guy moving in, I'm gonna assume there was friction towards the end of your relationship, and you started kind of
Oh yeah.
peeping something, and you're like, "Hey, some smells off here."
Yep. Oh yeah,
Mm,
like her phone, everything on her. So I knew there was something going on. But I didn't want to say. I didn't want to believe it, but I knew.
mm,
It's like you fucking know. So it's like I was like, oh, this is so and so my boyfriend. Like I knew who he was. I'm like, all right.
wow.
Like I knew, like if I don't fucking know that dude. What?
Right, right. So did
I
you
was like,
manage
okay.
to get away a little cleanly on this one, or you still kind of got wrecked in court?
I did, to the fact that I mean her mom is still very old fashioned though. Old fashioned like South American. You know, so she knows because her mom, she put, she said she put her mom on the pedestal because she's the queen, independent, brave, independent woman,
Hmm.
but she's very, so she always validated what I did for her granddaughter. She always saw that, what I was doing on her. So I don't think she knows she can't rock the boat too much because then her mom will be like, what are you doing?
Hmm.
You know, but of
Yes,
course,
yes.
I'm the evil one. I just laugh, so. At least she knows that, because she doesn't want to go back to Puerto Rico. There's nothing in Puerto Rico, man. There is nothing there. That place turned into like Chicago. She don't want.
Mm.
She don't want to go there. She got the house, quarter acre, a quarter of an acre lot,
And you're still
1,800 square
paying.
feet.
You're paying for all this.
Oh, I'm paying for her car, insurance. I'm paying like about $500 a month on stuff on there, and so she's just paying for. She's pretty much just paying for utilities, her phone, and the mortgage.
Mm.
Pay for everything else, even
Yeah.
health insurance. Even health insurance for the kid, she said she's not, it's not mine.
Right.
And her health insurance, because we're still, because until I finalize everything, which should be soon. She's entitled to it. God
Right.
forbid. You know.
So now you're single. Now you're on the journey, but I was really curious. So you divorce the first one and it ends up super rough. Then you go to the military, you get in somewhat good shape, in a somewhat, I guess, better mental state a little bit.
Yeah,
You still have the image of like tiny, yeah, you still have the image
yeah,
of your high school version, right? And
yeah.
all that trauma. So then how did this one sink her claws into you? Was it just so much
Uh,
time off from the
okay.
first one? Intimacy? What was it?
So, no, actually, it's so I was really really fat. I'm like, I'm tired of being fat. I saw an infomercial. That's back in the infomercial times. Insanity workout. They were still selling it in CDs, DVDs and stuff. So I grabbed it and I started working out. I just, in my mom's house, and I'm like, I gotta, because I'm like, well, let me see if I can get back to my military. Because after, getting in the military, I was like almost 300 pounds. So I started working out, doing P90X, all that. So I got in extremely good shape. When I say good shape, I'm gonna post some pictures on Discord. I was in
Hmm.
amazing shape. I could do the most amazing. I was doing Tough Mothers, like 20Ks. I was doing the obstacle courses.
Dope.
Yeah. So I done like three of them. Um, so I have a small boost in my subconscious, but my mind is still, you're a fat piece of shit. You know. But girls were approaching us. I fucked a couple girls in there. I'm like, oh, got my nut and everything. So made me feel kind of good on it. And then somehow I messaged her on Facebook, and I started talking to her. And then so I looked very good. I looked good on her. So we started talking, and I went to Puerto Rico for a visit, and she saw me, and I saw her, and it was back like the
Mm.
first. It was kind of like my first wife. She's like, oh, she likes me. She said she loves me. So this must be the one.
Ah.
You know. So this must be the one. So yeah, so that's how I ended up with her. I'm like, hey, you know what? I'm gonna marry you. I'm gonna bring you to the States.
Wow.
So I married her in the church that I grew up when I was a little kid. You
Mm.
know, and I was like, oh, I was like, no, it's got to be God. I'm like, yeah, it's got to be God. I haven't been praying. I haven't been doing the actual God thing correctly on there, but somehow it's got to be God.
Uh-huh.
I told myself whatever I needed to tell myself because, I was lonely. I was lonely. I was broken. Man, I was a broken human being. So uh, I don't actually, I don't blame her
Hmm.
a lot of things on it because, I'm broken. I was a broken shell of a man. I didn't know what a man was. I didn't know what a father was. I didn't know what a husband was. So I had no business being with her or my first wife, to be
Right.
honest.
You're just
I had
attaching
no,
to somebody.
yeah, I had no business being
Mm.
so, and that's another thing that the man, in this quarantine, they don't understand. It's like, do you have a business, being with somebody, like,
Hmm.
and I try to tell them, like, look, you're doing this Spartan challenge, and you spend more energy, you know, talking to yourself about what things you don't have to do on the Spartan challenge, or how to, I don't really have to do that, instead of actually doing the challenge. I'm like, what are you like? What are you doing? What are you actually trying to prove? Like, are you sure you want to improve yourself? Because this is a lonely, hard road. When
Hmm.
you're striving for excellence, it is a lonely, it's hard, it's not easy, but after the storm, that's where the reward is, and
Right.
every time I go through another tribulation, every time I go through another one, I was like, I'm understanding what the Bible said. I'm finally, for the first time, I understand why Andrew Tate talks the way that he does,
Hmm.
you know because people, yeah, he's got a lot of bluster on it, but I read between the lines. I understand what he's saying. I understand
Yeah.
why he says the way he does on it. You may not like him, but he's right on a lot of things.
Right. Right.
It's like I'm understanding. I'm understanding about vision, about looking forward on it. And it's just cutting off all the noise. Cutting everything off. And that's where I started. In a way, when because now that everything's quiet, I could listen to God. And I could listen. Okay,
Yes.
this is my purpose. This is what I'm gonna do. This is what it's supposed to be. I started actually healing and looking back, and accepting everything that happened to me. For the first time, accepting it. Accepting my parents for all their faults. I have a awesome relationship. If it wasn't for all that, like, I mended with them on it, and 'cause things got rough to a point where I couldn't afford food, and my
Hmm.
parents brought me food. The church, they're pastors now. I'm accepting that they're pastors now. And they brought me like a month's worth of food. Now that that church feeds me, you know, and feeds my kids because I still feed. I'm the one that cooks dinner for them every single day where my mom works. Thank
Right.
God for mending those things. And
Hmm.
it's like, we have that now. It's like everything that I wish I had growing up, it's like I'm getting it now. And it's like, is it have something to do with what's happening now? I don't know. All I know is the more I submit myself to, like, I guess I was submitting myself to the challenge, and I started submitting myself more to God, myself, and what I was supposed to do, what my destiny is supposed to be at, what my purpose is on it. Everything changed overnight.
Mm.
Everything. I called my brother. We're talking like, hey man, and I've had grandpa in my soul and my spirit, and he started crying. So me too, and we both were crying on the phone together. He was crying on the phone with me. This man, I have never seen him shed tears in my entire life. In the 42 and a half years that I've known this man, he has never shed a fucking tear. Not even when his babies were born.
Wow.
We were on the phone and he was crying. And then he was like, it's like, because he went through his own little, he just had back surgery, like major back surgery, major, major, because we were both in the military. He almost died in IED. He's got traumatic brain injury. He's got PTSD. He's got a whole lot of problems on it. He's supposed to be taking about 26 different pills on it. He says, no way, I'm not doing that. Because,
Mm. Good man.
and he's doing what I'm doing. He's doing, he can't work out right now, but he'll walk. He's working, he's reading the Bible, he's meditating, he's praying, his relationship with his wife is finally becoming what it's supposed to be, becoming the man he's supposed to be on it. He's in he said, I'm late, but I'm going to impart that to my son. He's got a son. He's 18. He just knocked up this girl. It's like, oh, Jesus Christ, Jesus. I'm praying
Yeah.
like, hey. you gotta step up as a father, you know. So I know I was, and he told me I was a shitty father at all. I said, no, that you were good. No, I wasn't. No, I wasn't. No, I wasn't. The shit that I was doing, the shit I taught you how to smoke weed. I taught you how to drink. I'm like, fuck. That's like, that was not something I was supposed to do, and I could feel the burden he carries because of that. The
Yeah.
cross he carries because of that. It's like I could see it in his like face and his soul, and it's like he's, you know, it's soul crushing sometimes when you also, yeah, that's part of the whole thing on it. When you start seeing all of your failures, you know, that could have been accomplishments. All the times that you quit, you know, how many rewards would have been if you just finished, you know,
Mm.
if you got to the finish line, you know, how many rewards I would have got, you know, you know, I quit, you know, and so I carry all that on me. But instead of just, you know, saying why me, or just, you know, just crying about it, it's like, okay, I'm using it to teach, you know, to learn from that. And I'm like, okay, that's what happened. I accept that, but it's no longer going to be part of me anymore, you know. Letting go of everything, and everything. It's like, okay, every day is a new day, everything's a new opportunity. So, you know, who cares about yesterday? Who cares about an hour ago? An hour ago is already gone, you
Mhm.
know. So it's a constant learning, the constant growing, and it's like that's what I want people on this challenge to know and understand. Is like, do the whole challenge, like everything that you hate, do. If you hate talking to your parents, go talk to them every single day. If you hate them, go down to them and tell them you love them every single day, every single day. You hate it, do it. You know, just you know, yeah, get yourself in that uncomfortable space. When you go when you go through those uncomfortable phases, uncomfortable things, man, that growth that comes out of it, it's like it just blows you away. You're like, oh man, was it that easy? Was it supposed to be that easy?
Mhm. That's the beauty of the challenge, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it's amazing because another powerful part of that is just simply logging in and seeing other men doing it and sharing their story.
Yeah, especially when they're like, oh, day three, and I'm like, day three. Look at it. Look at it.
Yeah.
I did 10 push-ups. All right. He'll be, you know,
Right.
it's like in 3 months he'll be doing 100. All right, cool. You know,
Right. Yeah. What you
including,
said
including
about submitting yourself to the challenge completely and not picking and choosing, well, I don't need to do this. I don't need that. You are missing the point. It's true. And if you
yeah,
just allow yourself to get engrossed in it fully, like the outcome you're having is what they can have too. Like it can change your
yeah.
life.
hmm
Yeah.
But you gotta have a reason. You gotta have a strong enough why to do anything. You know, that's what all the David Goggins, all the people they say something. You know, why? What's the reason why? You know, I'm like, I have two daughters. After all, you know, I have two daughters. You know, all the pain that I've gone through has to mean something. You know, I'm like, you know, it's like I look at all the reasons why I do it. It's like because I'm worth it. You know, you know, I'm worth it. You know, gives a shit about what happened to me, what I've done, what I haven't failed to do. You know, I'm worth it. You know, and the more I become better, the better I am for my kids. You know,
Beautiful.
and at the end of the day, all the people that had hurt you, all of money, there is nothing more awesome than you becoming like the most awesome, successful human in the planet. And then, instead of being bitter about it, just like, still loving them, but then them seeing you rise, you know, that is literally the best comeback you could ever do. Just
Hmm.
become the best version of you. And then them knowing that they can't be with you, they can't follow you because you're on different level.
Right.
You're
And
no
being
longer part of
able,
that circle. Yeah,
yeah, being able to help everybody around you that you love too. It's not just doing it
exactly.
for yourself. Yeah.
Yeah, like
Doing
I
it for
said in the
them.
beginning. Yeah, I'm doing it for my nephew. I'm doing it for my great niece, a little baby.
Hmm.
I'm good. I'm doing it for my brothers. I'm doing it for my mom, my parents. I'm doing it for my two daughters. I'm doing it for my future grandkids. You know,
Hmm.
and I'm doing it for my future wife, whatever. I don't know.
Right. Yeah. That's beautiful, bro. That's a perfect way to end it. This
Yeah.
was an incredible interview, dude.
No,
Thank
man.
you so much for sharing.
No, man. Thank you, man. Like, it's funny because look, when I first started this months ago, I sat down and said, God, you know, one way or the other, the world's gonna, it's gonna know what I did. The world's gonna acknowledge me, And then you sent me that little message, and it's like, and I was like, all right, guy, you know, you don't have to work that fast, you know, but let's go, you know.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, man, keep doing what you're doing, man. You know, you don't know, yeah, you don't know what future generations you're helping by doing what you're doing, because this stuff's gonna, you know, it's the seeds that you plant. You trees that you're not even gonna see, fruits that you're not gonna be able to see. You know, that it's gonna be a ripple effect that's gonna go beyond you, and your kids, you know, and be like, are gonna be able to see because of it. You know.
Thank you, brother. Yeah, I really don't have any idea. And hearing stories like this, it puts a face to the little number on YouTube.
Yeah.
It says one view, you know. I finally get to see the people that are being touched. And it's just like,
Yeah.
no matter what they try to do, silence, suppress, whatever, it just, I can't. That's why I wake up every day and I'm like, fuck, man, I have to. I have to.
Yeah.
Because the messages, like the emails, people talking about, you know, about to off themselves, like, really?
Yeah.
They go,
Oh, I
thank
was
you so
there. Yeah.
much, dude. Yeah. Like watching your video saved my life, literally. And I read an email telling me how the guy almost went through with it. And I'm like, fuck, this is real. You know,
Yeah.
it will
My
affect a
brother,
lot of men.
my brother was on the phone with one of his friends that committed suicide. On him, he heard a gunshot on his way to his. Man, it's hard being a man, you know. And this is, you know, this is great. You know, you're doing, man, you're doing like the Lord's work, you know.
Shit.
So you're doing the Lord's work. You may not know it, you may not like it, but that's, you know, you're saving lives. You know, you're saving lives, you're changing lives. So, you know, whatever I
I'm
can
glad
do
to
to
hear
help.
that. Thank you.
Hey, hey, you're gonna have millionaires coming out of this, and all of us gonna be like, hey, what do you
I
need,
hope
Bo?
so.
You know, what do you need, Bo? I got you. What do you need? You know?
Dude, that's a vision I've had. I hope I could touch
Yeah.
that many souls like that.
Oh, you're going to. You're going to.
Awesome. Well, thank you, brother, so much. And
Yes.
you know we're gonna do this again at one point. Got to hear updates.
Oh
You're gonna
yeah.
want it. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Hey, I'm gonna. You know, hey, come. You know, I got an LLC to start. I got a company to start. I
Oh
got a
yeah.
lot of shit to start, and I'll try. Like I'll be in and out. You know, saying hi, go, hey, now, you know, hey, you know, try not to ghost anybody, but just busy. You know, I got shit to do. I'm working 80
Of
hours a
course.
week. You know.
I hear you, bro. It's a process, man. Trust the
Yeah.
process. Submit to it, and you'll
Yes.
get to the finish line.
Trust the process. You need to make that
Yes.
shirt. Tribal man, trust the process.
All right, brother. Thank you so much. Talk to you
Peace
soon,
out.
dude.
God bless.
I hope you enjoyed today's interview. And to find the full episode, head over to Locals and become a supporter. It would mean the world and help us have more honest, real conversations about the state of masculinity and manhood, unfiltered. Thank you guys once again. Take care.